Long ago, the four elements lived in harmony, and then they were made into a mediocre movie. Let's do this.
Well,
Hey everybody, how's it going? I am Laser Dude, and it is time for another review. I saw this movie, not like right when it came out, but a couple of days after it came out, and I'm really late to get into it. And I think the main reason is, I'm just going to get right into it, this movie is fine. There's nothing that is overly terrible about it, but there's also really nothing that is overly special about it either. Right from the premise, right from the very start of this movie about, oh, it's all the elements living in a city together, and they all have to learn to get along. And I'm just like, so we're doing Zootopia again? We're doing that. We're doing some overly thrown out idea just to show everyone that racism or something is bad. You know, like we're doing that. It's not even creative anymore since you're ripping off yourself, Disney. I mean, come on. But I thought, you know what? Might as well go check it out and see how it is. And yeah, it's basically that. The difference is Zootopia was tackling a lot of themes of racism and sexism in our daily lives and the workplace and the daily grind. This one is about, people who are from other countries, who are foreigners, not really fitting into the scene in the new country. We see this fire family come to Element City, a city that is not really designed for him. It's designed more for water people and for air people and for earth people. And so they feel really belittled and not really looked after and kind of just like glanced over like a lot of minorities do. But the daughter grows up and she really hopes to take over the store from her father one day. But does she? Does she? This is kind of my thing with this movie. Like, we all know the basic story plots, the basic story elements, really, that the movies do. And this one doesn't really break any of them. Like, okay, this is just going to be full spoiler because I have to wait so long to talk about this movie, I'm just going to go into it. But even in parts of the movie where they know they're doing the cliched thing, they still do the cliched thing. Like, there's a part in the movie where they're like, no, we're fire. I'm fire, you're water, we can't be together. And then she runs off, and then he makes a big dramatic reveal in front of everybody as she's being hailed as head of the new convenience store. What do you flip a new? And then he's like, there's a moment where he's like, and how big of a jerk am I that I'm interrupting your big moment? She's like, a pretty big jerk. He's like, right? I'm like, just because you have him acknowledge it doesn't mean you're not doing the scene. You're still doing all the cliche. Now, here, I don't want to just have a big negative thing on this movie, because this movie isn't worthless. I want to give a positive that I actually do buy the romance. Like, when Wade came out of the pipe, and he's just, like, crying and over himself, I really thought I was going to dislike him. But I actually did like him as a character, and Ember as well. They actually had a pretty good romance together. I at least liked how their romantic relationship developed over the course of the movie. It, was fairly natural. It still started to do the cliched things. He'd like, no, we can't touch, and my father wouldn't approve, stuff like that. It was like, really? We're going like this? Also, I didn't like that his dad's dislike of water people didn't have anything really to do with his reason why he left his home country. Because here's the thing. It's something that happens when, somebody leaves their home country and they come to the new world, basically, Canada or the United States. They carry some of the prejudices that came along with them. But then people come from the other countries that oppress them, and they carry along their baggage as well to the new country. There's a show that I watched called Kim's Convenience, and there was a thing where it was a Korean guy who was manning the till, but there was also Japanese people that came in, and he had a little bit of a problem with them, and he had to address that because he was still hanging on to. I'm pretty sure I'm not. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. But it was like they were still hanging on to those past things. And in here it's just like, oh, we were run out because of a dust storm. So shouldn't you be mad at air people? Wouldn't they be the one? And Earth, air and Earth, literally water is the only one not involved in that, dude. Like, you have air and Earth working together, and you got thrown out of your home, and yet water's the one you blame? It doesn't make any sense. I'm not gonna be wrong, I get it because water's the natural enemy of fire and stuff. But I feel like this movie, it has good ideas, but it doesn't really develop them in a natural way. Like, for example, the movie has Ember having, since she's fire, she has the ability to, like, suck glass into herself and remold it, and then she does that, and everyone's like, wow, what a beautiful artwork you have, you should be an artist. And then all of a sudden she's like, yes, I should, but I have to take over my family thing. It's like, it should have been something where she knew she had this dream in her. Like, she had this, like there's a scene where, like, she gets angry and she breaks one of the glass things in front of her, and then she just remolds it and puts it back together. And it's just the way it was. What if she redesigned it? What if she drew beautiful patterns all around it, and her dad's like, "Now people can't see this stuff. Do it again." And then she did and made it normal. What if we saw this desire for her to make and mold stuff? What if when she does the thing where she uses the sand to reshape those doors, when she had to, glass the doors shut, what if she did it in a way where it looked pretty, It wasn't just a big glob of ice. What if it was, like, in the shape of a rose, like the rose that she wanted to, use? Anyway. You know what I mean? It's like, she just makes this, like, flower thing in a glass ball out of flipping nowhere, and then everyone's like, wow, you're an artist. And she's like, oh, I guess I am. It doesn't really feel like it's something that her character desires or has desired for a long time. And so when she's like, no, I'm making the sacrifice to go and take over my father's shop, it's just like, yeah, well, I mean, you just found this new dream like 5 minutes ago, maybe it's not something that has staying power. Where if it was something that she had in the back of her mind, but never really thought she was ever going to be able to express or use, then, then I could have, bought that a lot more. Where this one, it sounds like it's like, oh, I am an artist. I've always been. I've just really not really done anything about that till now. But I don't know what I think the movie's biggest problem is? It's not very funny. Yeah, I mean, like, not every Disney movie has to be a comedy, but, usually, since this is a movie that, we want younger people to watch as well, that we usually have some big laugh-out-loud moments or something that really gets you enjoying the movie. And there was nothing. There was, like, a couple of chuckles here and there, but for the most part, it was really, like, huh. Like, that was the most I got out of this film. I can't really remember a single scene that got me laughing really hard. I will say that at first when I saw the trailers for this, I thought the animation was going to look a little weird. I thought, the look of Wade actually really, like, that looks like a little unfinished. But in the actual, world of the movie, it works. It doesn't look unfinished. It looks like it's done in the way it was supposed to. And, yeah, I like it. It doesn't really... It's one of, as I said, this was movies. I had the same problem with this movie that I had with Zootopia, where this movie and its world just feels like it was made just to tell this specific story, And I don't like it when a movie's built, the whole world is built around this one message that it's trying to hammer home. I'd rather have a world like Toy Story, which isn't built around having one particular message in it, but uses its world to tell different messages and to tell different stories. I'd rather have that than this is the only thing you could tell in the world of Elemental is about, people being, foreigners to a new land and, a second generation in the feeling. Now, I will say that there are good moments with that storytelling. I really like the scene from Ember where she's like, my parents sacrificed so much for me. They gave up so much of their time, so much of their livelihood just to support me, and how could I betray that by not buying into their dream? How can I be like, no, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not going to care about that. And I feel like that's probably a real struggle that people who are first generation born in a new country have, where they feel like they're almost indebted to their parents because their parents sacrificed so much long hours, worked themselves to the bone, and now they just want to let them enjoy a retirement, but they can't because they have a dream to do something else. But they want to support the family. I believe that it is a real struggle, and it's done well enough that I feel like it's not just, oh, you should take over the family farm. It's like it's done in a way that I feel the pressure and why she would want that and why she didn't even consider a different path. So on that regard, I will say that I do enjoy the story. I do think that her and Wade do have some literal chemistry with each other. I feel like the scene where they, touch hands and they're able to hold hands, I'm like, I don't know how that works. I'm sure there's some scientist be like, well, actually, the scene in Elemental, it is very using a thing of there's a point in chemistry where at the right heat and the right tone of water, whatever, meets and they can meet together. There's probably something like that. None of that is my expertise, so I don't even know if that's even a real thing. But this also has a thing where it's just like, love. Are we really at that point yet? They've known each other for maybe a week and they're already in love? That's a personal preference. I don't like that. I like if the characters are going to be in love, give them a substantial amount of time. If I did have any actual problems with the characters, the main one I would have is the fact that they always are ignoring the big problem. Like, they're like, oh no, if this breaks open when it's full, it could flood all of Firetown. Let's just put some sandbags on it. See, we're done. Oh, the sandbags weren't enough? Okay, well, now I put some glass there. Okay, we're done. Oh no, the glass broke away! Oh, who could have saw that coming? Seriously, they're like ditching up the responsibility of making sure that doesn't go out and kill everyone in Firetown. Yeah, I really didn't like that. I was like, get some contractors to build something there. If everyone in Firetown is at risk, you can't just be like, and we're done, that's it. Now, the setup, at first when, Wade comes back and the whole town is flooding and, Ember is there, I'm like, well, at least Wade's safe, there's no way he can get, taken out or whatever. But then they get locked into the room and she is burning up and he is literally melting, and so they're in a state where, like, if she opens it, she'll die, but if they don't open it, he'll die. And that's actually a really good setup. I did like that. However, let's be honest, nobody bought it. Not even for a second did I buy it. Not for 1 second did I think, oh yeah, Wade's dead. You know what? I feel like movies need to have a little bit more of a backbone, okay? I do. I really think that. I think that, what if they did let him die? So what? What's the worst thing that can happen? Kids cry in a movie theater? So what? You know what? Back in the day, they let Bambi's mom die. Back in the day, they let Mufasa die. Back in the day, they actually killed off characters that left us sad. Have a tragic ending. You're telling a romance story, have it end tragically, and have him end a hero. And, I think that would have been a more interesting thing. But then again, maybe I'm just, wanting it to be more adult than it is. It's fine. Here's the thing. If you're not going to kill the character, that's fine. Just don't do a scene where you fake the character's death, okay? I'm so done with this scene. When we know they're not going to die, don't try to make us think they're going to die. Okay, that hasn't worked on me since... the last time I thought a character was going to die and they didn't was like Peaky Blinders. I think season 2's ending. Like, that was like... that was... But beyond that, it was like, there hasn't really been a time where I've ever bought it. At least not fully. But you know what? Let's give a rating to this sucker, and surprise, surprise, it's going to get a 5 out of 10. This is an average film. I might even bump it down to a 4 after thinking about it, but I'm going to leave it as a 5 for now, just because I think the world is actually very creative. Even though if I think it's a ripoff of Zootopia, it's still well animated. The way that Disney puts their effort into every inch of the world is just always so apparent. There were scenes that I enjoyed. The scene where he takes her in the underwater to see that flower that she dreamed of seeing. That's actually pretty nice. Predictable that it was going to happen once, she brought it up. But you know what? The way they animated it is actually quite beautiful. And I like the two main characters, and I kind of, until they started doing the cliched stuff, but for the most part, I still am buying their romance, and that's a big thing for a romance movie. But every other element, the disapproving father, it's just kind of by the book and a little cliched, and probably one of the more forgettable movies you're going to see this year. So, yeah, that's really all I got to say. Thanks for watching. I'm Lazy. See you in the next review. Bye.
Be sure to check out some of these other videos on my channel. And wait for more coming soon.